what does community mean to you? What do you bring to it? And how are you trying to really create community with your book or with your leadership or with your personal life?
I think it's just an interesting question, right? We really need community right now. And I probably haven't been thoughtful enough about, now that you asked me this question, I'm like, have I been thoughtful enough about this? How do I create community? But I think what I've always been watching out for at work and in personal life is connection, right?
Mm,
Like for me, community isn't just that you've brought a bunch of people together, it's how those people are connecting. And
mm,
for instance, during this year where you can't be in person together, how are we providing those opportunities for connection? So, in a
mhm.
recent team meeting, I just was like, hey, let's just spend some time sharing recent stories with each other.
Yeah.
And anyone popcorn style can decide if they want to share a story, but let's just chat it through and connect, right? Because it can be lonely in this world where we're just sitting with our computers. And if all we're doing is going from meeting to meeting where we talk
Mm,
about business stuff,
yeah.
we're not really connecting and we start to feel that.
Yeah.
So in every community, I'm looking for those opportunities. Is it sharing stories? Is it sharing challenges? Is it just having moments where we talk about our kids or,
Mhm.
our dogs? Not everyone has kids. So you also have to make sure, like, as you're
It's true.
creating these moments for connection, you're not unconsciously creating moments where other people don't feel like they belong.
Yeah.
And so I think there is like that thing that you have to watch out for. But how can you do this
Mm,
and make it a possibility for people and do it in different formats? So if people don't like talking in front of other people, they could just share something in the chat screen on the side, or
yep.
just know that by listening, they enjoy hearing that stuff and feeling less alone and sharing some
Mhm.
commonality with those stories. So I think that's really what I'm always thinking about is really connection in underneath the reason for
Mhm.
these communities.
Mhm. Yeah, in your day to day too, just fully immersed, it sounds like. And how do you see philanthropy tying into that? I know you've supported various organizations, especially our shared love of Build. How do you prioritize and support those communities?
I think that my initial seed on philanthropy was that having grown up without a lot of money, but having a family who really focused on education, I felt that I had been actually pretty fortunate because the focus on education gave me a road towards better career opportunities down the
Mm,
road. And
mhm,
so, especially when I was looking for a board opportunity, I was really looking for a place where I felt like I could offer that in some way, right? Like
mm,
that push, that nudge, that opportunity, that piece of luck that you might otherwise not have had to help change what's going on in our society where intentionally or unintentionally we've built a self-sustaining system to marginalize certain people,
mm,
because the luck and opportunity is percent wise more available in the already existing affluent areas. And you might otherwise really have to fight. And then we fall into exceptionalism because we'll be like, oh, look, that
mm,
person can get out of the ghetto. So
yeah,
it's just about desire. And those people don't have desire. And we
mhm,
can tell ourselves that, and it's not accurate, right?
mhm,
Um, there is not as much luck and opportunity in certain places as others. And so I was looking to see how
mhm,
could you balance that? Because the more you balance that, the more you can change this over time, and not continue to have the sort of systemic biases that we've had in the past. And I was already
mhm,
looking for that before this year when we really started to pay attention to systemic biases. But I think now that we've fallen into this year, I've been thinking much more intentionally about things
mm,
like mortgages.
mm,
During all of this,
yep,
just a little side note, during
yeah,
all of this, we were um, what's the word? Renewing a mortgage, renegotiating a mortgage. I can't remember what
Refinancing?
it said. Thank you. Refinancing. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. Fridays, I lose all words.
that's all good.
And we were refinancing. And I consider us fairly, like, we don't have any like weird black marks on our record. I consider us fairly trustworthy, all of this type of stuff. And we still had to fill out a pile of papers about this high
Yeah.
and give like 70 million different kinds of proof. And before, I had always thought about this as just a super inefficient, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
from tech. Like,
Yeah.
how can we optimize this process, people? Like,
Totally.
why is it this much paper? Why are this many signatures? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, whoa. But this time I was holding the paper and I was like, how much racism is in here? How
Yeah.
much is in here just to keep certain people out? And we've
Yeah.
never thought about it.
Yeah.
And so I think for the first time, not first time, but as a continuation, I
Yeah.
guess, I'm really starting to think about certain areas and how I could start to influence those areas in what I do, whether it's philanthropically or with a broader focus in my life.
Hmm.
Because I think all of my philanthropic stuff has been, how can I change this?
Yeah.
Because I don't like this.
Hmm.
And it could have been so easy to be born in different circumstances and still not have money,
Yep.
right? And I really want to change that up for people.
You're making me think of this awesome organization called Money Think. And what they're doing is trying to take out all of that paperwork and the confusion of applying to colleges and then looking at their grants. So it's targeting low-income students who are Pell eligible, which is for assistance from the government. And they have the application to the school, then they get in, they get their award letters, and then figuring out how much will I have in debt after I graduate? What loans are available to me now? What grants are available without having to pay them back? How about workplace, or excuse me, what's it called? Work study. And the idea is the same as what you said. There's stacks and stacks of paper, and people don't know how to. Nobody, adults have a hard time interpreting those, let alone 17 and 18-year-olds. And if they don't have financial literacy or a sense because the school doesn't provide it, how are they supposed to know whether they should go to school A or B or C, other than what reputation it has or how close it is to home or what other factors go into it? Well, so many students are really crippled by debt, and they're not really given the tools to figure out, well, what does it mean for me in the long term? What does it mean for me to budget for the next semester, let alone, how can what will I project in the next 5 years? So they've got the same technology as what you would use for digital banking. So like if you have a check that comes in your mail, you open up your Bank of America, you take a picture of it, and suddenly it's in your bank, right? So it's the same concept, that same technology for the scholarships, the application, or excuse me, the award letters, and so on, everything I just outlined. And I thought that was a really cool way to see tech for good. Have you heard of any other organizations like that, or what's your thought on that?
Yes, I mean all of that, and we could talk for another hour about
Yes.
about school loans and how
Yep.
they impact or trap people
Yep.
for the next 50 years of their lives.
Yep.
And but on the other hand, if you don't get one, this is the difference between you being able to go to school and have meaningfully higher salaries down the road. And this is a major gotcha point, right?
Yes.
Along with high school dropouts. This is a major gotcha point. And my mom actually worked for a period of time in college administration in the loan office.
Oh,
And she would
interesting.
have to travel around
Uh-huh.
and try to educate the community about these because it is this alien process, especially if
Yeah.
you are a first time in your family college applicant.
Yep.
You've got no one who can help you understand how to fill out these papers. And there's already a ton also that just can work against you in this system.
Right.
Say your mother remarried, but you have no access to what your stepfather's income is. He's not
Yeah.
going to give you any. It still counts against you in the process.
Right.
So there are a bunch of businesses now. I was actually just looking through the other night a whole bunch of Black owned businesses to see what they were doing in this space. And there are a bunch that are saying, okay, we'll give you these loans. We don't look at what your parents make. Here we're helping you understand and do repayment.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of them, like I actually
So
would have to
important.
send you names later.
Send me some links. We'll put them
This
on the
is
show notes along with
this
Money
is
Thing.
this is an area that I think all of us should be thinking about more, spreading the
Yeah.
word on, and to the extent that we can help.
Yeah, I love that. And, something that I loved, and I'm not sure where you said this, but you said, I want to flood the system to change the system. Let's help each other. So
Totally.
that's kind of like the same spirit. I love
same
that.
spirit, same spirit. There's so many places where you're the only one in the room.
Yeah.
Or it's easy for them to not the just mysterious them, to not promote the one woman, the one Black man, the whatever in the room, because there's 9 other majority in the room. It gets harder and harder if there's 5 of us there and you keep ignoring us.
Yeah.
Right. If there's 5 out of the 10.
Right.
And so, I'm totally into figuring out, if you walk into that college engineering classroom and there's only 5 women out of 100, go back to your dorm and get all the girls and show back up. Right.
Yes.
Like, let's not let that keep daunting us.
Yeah.
Let's flood the system, and over time it's going to change.
I love that.
With this latest valuable episode, we'd love to thank you for joining us on the Creating Community for Good podcast. If you found today's show valuable, simply visit our website, creatingcommunityforgood.com, to leave a review, as well as to get access to additional resources and relevant links from this show. Stay tuned for more episodes.